Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the anniversary show of the Hughes Sports Podcast. That's right, we have been around for 1 full year. I am, of course, your host, Jake Hughes, alongside the old man. Old man, how the hell are you doing today?
I am awesome. I feel like singing happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary, happy anniversary.
Maybe we'll do like a different background for our anniversary show.
Oh, no, that's bad. That's hard on the eyes. I'm old. Whew.
I know, we got to keep things like dull
Simple.
colors, and it's hard for you.
Stupid.
You're the reason that line exists. So,
How's it going? How was your week?
my week was good.
It was cold.
It was way too cold. It was absolutely freezing here in Calgary. Like -40, and for those Americans listening, -40 is the same in Fahrenheit as it is Celsius.
Yes. It was a tad chilly.
And even still, I think there's another alert for tonight. So if all of a sudden one of us gets disconnected for no reason and doesn't show back up, it's because there is a potential for rolling blackouts in Alberta with the power grid. I think we're for the most part through that now because it seemed to have warmed up quite a bit today. But I want to just preface that if all of a sudden it becomes a one-man show, that is why.
Don't get me started with this rolling blackout BS crap and doodle shit.
I'm just saying it's a possibility.
Crap and doodles, that's what it is.
Okay, I'm just telling you that I'm not wanting to talk about it with you. I was more so letting our our listeners know what might go on.
Talk about it then.
Yeah, no, this is our happy place. Hell yeah, says Dominic Cam. By the way, I'm assuming.
Hell yeah,
hell yeah,
happy anniversary. Yeah. Who would have thought we would actually have 50 plus? Oh, spin-off podcast, Hughes Politics. No, that would just be Jake and I yelling at each other.
No, that sounds like that sounds like a way for us to lose all of our fans.
I think that would be a one-man show for me. So I can just
because you don't rant on this show at all. You don't do anything like that.
No. But who would have thought that when we first talked about doing this, that 52 weeks later, we're still freaking doing it. I think we only missed like 1 or 2 weeks.
And to be fair, for those 1 or 2 weeks, we also did have episodes recorded some of the time.
So really, there was only 1 week we didn't have something to put out.
Yeah,
which was because Jake was hungover. And
I was very hungover. That would have been made for a very bad podcast. And we put a couple of those out before. Hell. No, because you would have said something, and I'd been like, "I'm done. I'm just, you know what? I'm signing off. I'm too tired for this shit."
You know what we should do one time? Maybe in the summertime, we should do a podcast and like day drink all day. Take the Monday off work and day drink, and then do the podcast.
Well, see, we could do something like that for like Labor Day, because then there's a bunch of football to talk about.
Yeah.
Just get real drunk
at the game.
See, so we were talking about something off shaking the entire desk. We were talking about something just before we went on the air there. That would be, think about it for a second.
Oh, yeah.
That's the type of content I would want to put there.
No, I'd want it free for everybody because that's just who I am.
All right, no, I mean, hey, if you guys want to see a day drunk Monday night podcast for Labor Day,
give us a hell yeah.
I guess that hit us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, wherever you find us, and give us a hell yeah. Drop it in the comments, and drop it in a comment of a random episode. Don't do it on this one. Drop it on random episodes. Maybe your favorite episode from this entire year.
Go back and find it.
Go back and find your favorite episode and put a hell yeah if you want to see us get... I'm going to say get sloppy drunk and try to talk about sports that we watched hours earlier.
Will we...
No.
Will we get notifications on that? Does somebody made a comment?
I will.
Okay.
Don't worry. I mean, one of us knows how technology works, and... Now, today was kind of a weird day.
Why?
He's not listening. He's not even listening. The old man's like he's so focused on his phone and texting people. And
Hey, I was doing work for this show.
Were you doing work for this show?
Yes. And Dom doesn't follow direction.
No, Dom. Well, maybe this is his favorite episode from the past year.
Oh, there you go. So why was today a difficult day?
Today was a difficult day because at 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, which is a noon game on a holiday in the United States, in Columbus.
Then have two American teams.
There was a hockey game to be played.
Don't put a Canadian team in there.
The Canucks, after some insane travel runarounds because of getting out of Buffalo was insane. They didn't get into Columbus. After having a day off yesterday, they didn't get into Columbus until 9 p.m. Or they didn't get to the hotel last night till 9:30 p.m. Columbus time.
That's crazy.
And then they had a game to play at 11 a.m. So 13 and a half hours?
No, noon Columbus time, wasn't
it? Noon Columbus time, right?
Yeah.
No. What time is Columbus? I don't know. I'm in Columbus.
I have no idea. But yeah, they had to apparently drive from Buffalo because they couldn't fly out of Buffalo. So they got on a bus and drove to New York. Drove to Toronto. And then they sat around the Toronto airport for a long time eating food from the airport because they had nothing else, which couldn't have been very healthy for professional athletes. I'm just saying, I've been to the airport.
They do not have good food.
They don't have a lot of great choices. Who knows? Maybe they're special and they got some special food.
Well, they probably don't go to the Toronto Pearson International Airport. They probably go to the charter airport. So they might have specialty chefs. I know someone who used to work at one of the private airports in Calgary.
Did they take their did they have their own plane or
they did take a charter? I know that.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought they were waiting for but I mean the weather in Toronto has been horrible. It's been cold and snowy.
They didn't get an ounce of snow last night in Toronto.
Oh, didn't they? Then what were they stuck in Toronto for so long for?
Waiting for the plane because they had to wait for another plane because their plane was stuck in Buffalo. So they had a charter plane. They did not have their charter plane.
Oh, gotcha. So anyways, yeah, it was a day. It really pissed me off because I got to watch 5 minutes of the game, first period.
See, I was lucky where I sat at a computer all day for work. So I had one of my screens dedicated to the hockey game and just worked off of one screen for the day.
See, I tried that.
Yeah, but you're trying to sell cars and talk to people. I'm trying to get people off of chatting with me and talking to the salespeople. So it's a lot easier to do it my way than your way.
Yeah, apparently
for watching hockey games. Anyways,
so they lost in overtime. Shootout.
They did not look good in shootout. They did not look good. I will say this:
the whole game
of the seven games of this road trip, they had energy for the first about 5 minutes.
Oh,
and they looked like they were going to just dominate the game. And then it was almost as if you could see the tiredness, the loopiness, the lack of sleep, the lack of preparation hit them one by one throughout the lineup. And there was a play where Zadorov just looked down at the puck and couldn't, and 2 or 3 times couldn't put it onto his stick. And it was as if he was playing drunk or something. And I don't think he was, but it was one of those. He missed it. He looked down, picked it up again, and then got it poked off his stick. And luckily, DeSmith made a great save. But it was one of those. What are you doing? That should be a no. What are you doing, Zadorov? That should be a very easy play to play that. You looking at your phone is nothing new. I don't have to comment on that every time you do it.
It's really bad. I'm addicted to my phone, people. I admit it. But it is stuff for the show, so I'm allowed to.
All right, as long as you claim that.
It is. So yeah, I mean, but when you look at the bigger picture, yeah, we lost today.
Still got a point.
We got a point. We're 5-1-1 on the hardest road trip of the year. The travel on this road trip was insane. It was the hardest traveling road trip they say that we're going to do this year, and we went 5-1-1. So hell yeah, I'll take that.
it's crazy, and not just that, and kind of comes to the next point I wanted to discuss. We came into today being first in the league, and by guaranteeing a point, we have guaranteed that coming out of today, no matter what happens in the rest of the league, we are still first in the league. We have a 99.9% chance to make the playoffs, which virtual success.
Well, we're
There is
going
a
to make the
chance.
playoffs. We'd have to
There's a
literally lose every single game.
look. You've been a Canucks fan from the beginning. There's a reason it's called Canucks luck. I refuse until we have that X next to our name saying clinch playoffs. There is a 0.01% chance of us not making the playoffs.
We're going to make the playoffs. The question now is the question you have after the ... is
What is success at this point?
And I was going to say this when we were talking off air, but I saved it for live because I want to get your natural reaction. I believe at the beginning of this season, we said success in this season is make the playoffs and give round one a good shot, maybe get to round two.
That's 100% what I thought success was.
That's not success this year.
That's why I'm proposing the question, because what is success now?
Success is we have to make the cup final.
You're saying cup final or bust?
That is success. Okay, how about if we sit? No, I'm going to stick with my cup final because
I think that's a big pressure to put on a team like this. And don't get me wrong, we're having 5 players going to the All-Star game and 1 coach. It's a franchise record, tied with the NHL record now, of having 5 players and a coach going to an All-Star game.
So you got to take back your rant? Can you go back and delete your rant from last week?
No, it's still fucking absurd. It's still fucking absurd that there's an all-star on San Jose. I'm sorry. They're a team that's lucky. They're lucky. They're playing an AHL roster. They're not NHL all-stars.
So on my Facebook post before we came live, I said, how long will it take me to make Jake rant? It took 13 minutes. That's my
13 and a half.
That's my new record for Jake making Jake rant. So we'll have to see if we can beat that next week. So again, they've set that bar so damn high by playing the way they are, that I'm serious. Like, if they don't make the Western Final, is that what they call it? Western Final?
The Western Conference Final?
Yeah, that's right. D says, I watched this for Jake rants. Keep them coming.
They're not going to go anywhere, guys.
That's awesome. Yeah, if they don't make the Western Conference Final, it'll be a letdown. Truthfully,
I think it would be a letdown, but I also think if we run into, like, if we get to round 1 and out, I think is an utter failure.
Yes.
At this point, again, we're reevaluating what success is with the results, the foreshadowing of results. What, not foreshadowing? Can't think of the right word. Either way, but the losing in the first round, I think, would be a failure. Going out in the second round, but having like a 7-game series against a Colorado, a Vegas, a team where it's like, oh, we lost to someone who could be raising the cup this year. Then okay, that's fair, that's fine. But losing in the first rounds, I think, would be a huge. I wouldn't say like letdown. Letdown is probably the best word, but it's not a. It's a successful season. It's a disappointing end point to the season.
Well, I mean, let's face it. The first half of the season, because we're at halfway.
We're over half. We're over
halfway. If we went back to beginning of the year and we said, what do we want going into the All-Star break? What would we call success?
I would say would have said a wild card position would be success.
I would have said like playing 500 hockey, just above 500 hockey would be success.
And we're 29-11-4.
I mean, it's baffling. It's bizarre. It's the most fun I've ever had as a Canuck fan, and that goes back to some of the
Ooh.
2010,
Really?
9,
You're gonna say
11,
more fun?
because we didn't expect it. Back then, we were
It was
an elite team, and we built it. Like, there was years where we built that up,
it was a
and
bunch of
we
small
went,
steps to get there.
got the playoffs, went out in the first round. Next year, made the playoffs, went out in the second round. Made the playoffs, went out in the third. What made the playoffs
No,
and went all the way to the Stanley Cup.
but that's not true. We were lost in the first round 3 years in a row to Colorado or to Chicago.
That's true. That's true. Right. So we had but our seasons were elite teams. Like, we were winning president's trophies. This wasn't the team to do that. That's why it's fun. It's just,
Now,
I pinch myself. Like, I text with my oldest brother Rick, who is 76, and his line is, "I don't have many years left. I'm 76." And it's like, you don't want to be sad, like, be mean, but he's 76. He doesn't have a lot of years left.
I mean, with your with grandma's gene, with your mom's genes, he could live to 96. He's got another 20, 30 years left.
He's probably got another decade in him, I'm guessing. But we have watched the Canucks since 1970. Him and I have been like that with the Canucks. Talk about a what do you call it? A relationship. What do you call being a Canuck fan? Is like having a
Toxic relationship.
Say it again.
Toxic relationship.
We've had this toxic relationship since 1970.
Yeah,
and we're still in love. To us, we pit, like, literally every game we're laughing. We're just sending back and forth text, ha ha ha.
well,
I can't go
like,
LOL
even with
because he doesn't
11,
know what LOL means. So I have to say ha 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 to
I'm
him.
surprised you know what LOL means.
It means lots of love.
Correct. Yes. But along those lines, though, so if Western Conference Final, Stanley Cup Final is your finish line, does management owe it to the players, to the fans, to make a change, and not in a Kuzmenko's not performing, not in a like this time last year. We had just gone through the change of getting rid of Tocchet, and around this time is when we traded Bo Horvat.
We didn't get rid of Tocchet.
Sorry, getting rid of Bruce Boudreau input and putting in Tocchet.
Yes.
Do you if you can do it without breaking the bank, do you mortgage your future for a run?
Why not? Isn't this the year? Like, do we go out and do we try to find a Tanev?
To me, Tanev would be if you're going out and you're making a splash and you're mortgaging your future. And when I say mortgage your future, I'm saying first round draft pick is in play. Tom Willander, EPD, Lekaramaki. What if you can go out and get yourself a Elias Lindholm, a Johnny Gaudreau, I'm looking at teams that are out of the playoffs and looking to maybe blow things up and start tanking at this point before the trade deadline.
I don't know if they will. Like,
well, I do want to talk about the Flames a little bit later in the show, so we'll talk about that. Yeah. I did put it in the rundown, but I forgot. But
no, I don't think that you make that big of a change, because we've got this thing called chemistry, and I know 100%. A lot of people don't believe in it.
I disagree. Look at
I'm a big believer.
If anyone wants to say chemistry doesn't exist, go back to the late 90s, early 2000s.
Yep.
When Mark Messier came to the team and got rid of Linden. The team made the playoffs year after year, and Messier was supposed to take them to that next level. What happened when Messier got there? Didn't make the playoffs. And then we got rid of Messier and brought Linden back, and look what happened. We made the motherfucking playoffs.
Yes. Oh, watch your language, young man. We're on Facebook. I'm always have to correct this guy.
I'm going to put you in timeout.
I'm not the one that fucking...
But no, chemistry is a huge thing. Look at the Lotto
It
line.
is.
The chemistry that line has. Of course, they're all-star players, but that doesn't guarantee you have chemistry.
Well, exactly.
Then look at our third line, which I'm going to start talking about as if they're our first line. We lost your video. Oh, you're back. The Bluger, Joshua, Garland line. That line has no business. If you look at their the way they're built, they have no business being as good as they are. But there was a play today where Garland scored, and I don't know if you've been able to see the highlights at all.
No, I haven't seen
but
anything.
Joshua gets in hard on the forecheck, gets the puck in a battle, and Bluger comes in, grabs the puck, and just fires it to the front of the net where Garland is sitting with no one in front of him. And I don't think Bluger looked for more than a quarter of a second to see if Garland was there. Fired it to him, and just boom, right in the net.
Yeah.
That chemistry, you're if you trade for someone, you're concerned about that chemistry. But you look at the Mikheyev, Suter, and Kuzmenko line. There's not a lot of chemistry there. No. If you can get a second line center who you can, even if you don't have great chemistry, but you can play well with those two players, why wouldn't you take that shot?
Well, exactly. No, I totally agree. And it's one of those who is the second line and who is the third line at this point, right? Because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Like,
obviously, the Lotto line is number one right now.
Yeah, they play the most minutes. To me, it's if you look at minute and distribution, your third line, the line that they always put third on the depth chart, is getting the second most minutes.
Yes, exactly.
So that's your second line. It's your third line on your depth chart, but that's your second line. You're putting them out there, whether it's an offensive zone, defensive zone, you're winning games, you're losing games. It's all there.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know what Dom's trying to say.
Zibanejad and Kreider both play. So I'll bring the comment up for people on who are watching. Yeah. Chemistry exists, says Dom Cam. Zibanejad and Kreider are the bromance duo for a reason. And actually can't believe anyone would deny exists. So Chris Kreider, Mika Zibanejad have been like a duo on the Rangers line, or like Rangers for years and years. Their chemistry is unbridled because they've been playing so long together, and it doesn't matter who that third person is on that lineup. They work together well, no matter what.
Exactly.
So, no, 100%.
It's like you and Dom. You guys have that chemistry together that have lasted since you guys were in school. That chemistry doesn't go away.
And I was going to say, we were talking about it not too long ago. Like, it's been over half of our lives now that we've been friends. So it's so easy for us just to know what each other are thinking in certain situations.
It's me and Uncle Burke. It's the exact same kind of idea, right?
Exactly.
Except you guys met way earlier in life.
Really? I always assumed you
grade
complete
11.
off subject. Grade 10.
I didn't meet Burke until I moved out to Coquitlam.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, woo.
Yeah, that was squirrel moment.
Squirrel. Uncle Burke's laughing. So, do we need to make a change? I'd like to shore up our defense going into the playoffs, and I don't think we need to shore up our defense. Like, really, like everyone knows my dislike for Myers. If you've watched the game with me, if you've listened to the podcast, we do not love Myers. My dog thinks its name is effing Myers because I say it so often during a game. They're like, "Oh, that's me."
But Myers has been playing well. He's been playing where he needs to be. He's playing third line minutes. I
actually said, "Good play, Myers," and then I almost I spit up in my mouth a little bit. It was kind of gross. I had to brush my teeth.
I was watching the game with some people, and they mentioned that they're like, "Oh, that was a nice move." I was like, "We don't compliment that guy. Nope, we don't compliment him." See, he's been playing well. Right, he's been playing well for what we need him to play. So do we need to change defense? No. Do we need another top six forward? I think that's more of a need for the organization or for the team right now.
I would love to see both, to be honest.
That's going to be almost impossible.
If we can only do one, keep Myers.
But
did you hear my stomach rumble?
No, I didn't. No, the mic's not that good.
It was because I said keep Myers. My stomach just gurgled. It was like really bad.
Now there's been a lot of talk
I
with.
think that was gas.
Uh-oh. Well, I'm glad I'm in a completely different space. This is why we don't have a studio with us in the same room. But sorry, does management owe it to the players to go out and try to make a big move, even if they're not successful? Can they go through the trade deadline and say we have all the faith in the world with this team, we don't need to make any changes?
We'll see. And that I'm going to bring this up. Just because Dom's making some really good points. Is Myers playoff caliber? That's my problem. Yeah, he's playing okay right now. He's not making the stupid ass mistakes he was making in the beginning of the year where I was throwing things at my TV. I can't afford to buy a new TV come playoffs.
But you could ask that question. Is Hughes playoff caliber? Okay, sorry, that's probably a bad example. I threw his name.
I'm like, what kind of stupidity are you pulling now?
Is our second, third line is Joshua?
I know what you're saying because they're
Bluger,
not tested yet.
No one's been tested. Like none of these. There's so few players that have playoff experience on this team. Don't get me wrong. Ian Cole, Carson Soucy, they have experience in the playoffs,
but not with us.
Not with us. But then there's, Hughes, not Hughes, but PD, Brock, JT Miller. Those guys have had, the only experience they've had in playoffs is an empty arena in Edmonton.
Yeah. You would hate to see them mortgage our future
to be kicked out in the first round. But what would hurt more? And I don't even want to bring this up, but what would hurt more is you go on a run, you get great goaltending, you're scoring just enough to win, and then you get into the Stanley Cup final and you don't have enough scoring power to win.
Wow.
I'm sorry. Like, am I wrong though? Would it hurt? Would you be hurt? Would you hurt more going out in the first round being like, God damn it, now we need to re-sign players, but we still have a great team, versus 5 games against the Rangers or Boston or an Eastern team who put up a lot of points and where we lose in 5, 6, 7 games by 1 goal or 2 goals. And then there's rumors that, if they were willing to put Tom Willander in a deal, they could have gotten Johnny Gaudreau. They could have gotten a goal scorer who's not on a playoff team.
Do you think Gaudreau's up for grabs?
I don't know why Johnny Gaudreau, and I know it's because we played Columbus today.
Yeah.
I have a feeling that Johnny Gaudreau will be traded. Even though I don't think it's technically possible, because I think he has a no movement clause and he wants to be in America and be on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Or that was just a lie. Or that was just a lie to get out of Calgary
chaos
organization.
Yeah.
But that is the biggest problem. So Dom, I know we've gone to him a couple times tonight, but how much cap do you have to play with? None.
Yeah.
It has to be, if there's a move that made, it has to be cap in, cap out, or it could be, Myers, remember that surgery we said that's optional and you like, or Ian Cole, one of our players who has a nagging injury that they're playing through. Hey, you can go for this elective surgery. You'll be out 8 weeks. And let's schedule here 8 weeks from day 1 of playoffs is just before trade deadline day. So we can put you on LTIR on this day retroactively, or get all of that cap space. It's been done before. We did it before. It's how we made trades when we went on our run. And then Tampa Bay's abused it. Now people are all upset about it. And the only reason I bring it up, because people are like, it's so broken. It is broken, but no one's willing to change anything. Tampa Bay, when the Canucks did it in 2011, Tampa Bay brought it up at the GM meetings and was voted down unanimously. They were the only one to vote to even talk about it.
That's insane, eh?
And then they go and do it, and everyone loses their shit.
Well,
but it was never talked about when the Canucks did it.
Yeah. I don't know. I I mean, we can't retain any more salary because you're only allowed to retain 3. I did the research for you, by the way.
Thank you.
Actually, I was listening to 960 Sports. Oh, when we talk about Calgary, remind me of something.
Yep.
And you can only retain 3. I think we've already retained our 3.
I think we only have 2 retained.
Oh,
I'll pull it up here on Cap.
yeah. I thought we had 3 retained.
But who are you going? Like the problem is who are you going to retain on? I guess
Right?
I would say that's only 1 year.
That's where I'm going with that, right?
Yeah.
If we could get if we could trade Myers away and maybe a draft pick or 2 to get that second or third, maybe the third line center. Why not?
We have all 3 available.
No, we've retained.
Nope.
No,
because the Oliver Ekman-Larsson one is a buyout, not a retention.
Oh,
and
right.
all of our retained would have come off the books last year. Then, so we have all 3 spots to retain.
Okay, so we got room.
Yeah,
so there's all kinds of stuff.
So we were wrong last week when we were talking about it.
Yeah, I don't know. Again, I don't like messing with chemistry. If the old saying, if something ain't broke, don't fix it. It's like in sales, if you have somebody saying yes and they want to buy a car, you don't show them a bicycle. Right?
Stop asking questions.
It's simple. So having said that, like I said, if we can get rid of a Myers and could we go Myers and a pick? And can we get a top centerman, like third line centerman?
I think you'd want a second line centerman, but either way, like
yeah,
probably. Right? I don't know. I think it all depends on the quality.
Or the only other way I would do that is Myers and a pick to Calgary for Tanev. I know he's old.
I don't even think I'm doing that.
I know he's old, but he's a Canuck.
That's just because he was a Canuck does not mean.
I know. I just hate the fact that Calgary got him for nothing.
We can blame our former GM for that.
Yeah, because he signed free agency, didn't he? Yeah, he did.
Because they ran out of time trying to sign Markstrom.
That's right.
And that's why everyone left.
So, I mean, either way, like find something. Don't make that big giant. Bring a good, like you say, a Goudreau. I don't think you need to. I don't think you need that Mark Messier curse again.
So, but what if? Okay, so what if you, let's say, I'm trying to think of his name. My brain is escaping me. The guy who's playing Suter. Let's say P.S. Suter.
Yeah.
Myers retained for 50%, and our first round pick. Let me just throw this together, and our first round pick for Elias Lindholm and Chris Tanev. But that's
how old is Lindholm?
29.
So he's got a few years left. Tanev is older.
33, but they're both UFAs at the end of the year. So if they don't work out,
but if they don't work out, we gave up a potential.
We gave up Myers, who are if we want to resign, we still could.
That's not giving up.
P.S. Suter, who I think has 1 year left on his contract. I'd have to double check that.
But he could be. How old is he? He's a young kid, is he not?
No, he's 27.
Yeah, he's got 5-6 years left in him, or more.
He's got $1.6 million for 1 more year. So really, we give up 1 year of P.S. Suter and a pick, which I'm assuming would be a first round pick or one of Willander or Lekaramaki. To me, that's
So you're thinking you're going out and you're looking at Calgary and you want to. I'm trying to pick the the politically correct word here.
Blow it up.
Yeah, blow it. You want to blow Calgary up.
Calgary needs to blow it up, and they refuse to do it. Let's talk about Calgary now, because this is exactly where the conversation. There are direct reports from insiders that management has gone, or management wants to blow things up. That Craig Conroy has basically gone to ownership and said, we need to blow this up. And ownership says, no, we can't do that right now.
No, they won't.
Why wouldn't ownership want to blow it up? Why wouldn't ownership want to blow it up right now?
Because they want to make sure they make the playoffs.
Why wouldn't ownership want to blow it up right now? Playoffs is a very far-fetched right now. You've got to go on an 8-game win streak.
No, it's
not. You've got to go on like an 8-game win streak to keep pace with the Oilers and the Kraken.
No, you look at where they are. They're only X amount of points behind. They're not that far away.
They are. Like, welcome to this is the argument we had last year. Welcome to Gary Bettman's NHL, where every single team has a chance until they don't.
Every team
43 games played, 45 points. That's a .523 win percentage.
But that's not what you got to look at. Where are they in the standings?
They're 2 points behind. 4 games more played than the Edmonton Oilers were in the last wildcard spot.
Yes.
So Edmonton's playing at a .603 percentage, which means by the time they played the same amount of games, it'll probably be the Nashville Predators that the Flames have to grab, who are at a .557 win percentage.
Yeah. So if you look
to catch a team by 3 points, 3 percentage points, you have to play like insanely better than them. Do you believe that the Calgary Flames are that much better of a team than Nashville Predators?
They're playing at 600 right now. The last 10 games, they're at 6-4, right? So I know their record is 500, but they're actually playing at a 600 pace right now.
And the Edmonton Oilers are playing at a 100% win percentage, and they should be first in the league.
Well, no.
In the last 10, they've won 10 and they're 10-0-0.
In the last 10 games, they're playing at 100%. They haven't lost, so that's 100%.
But the Nashville Predators are keeping pace with that. They're 5-4-1.
Right. So what I'm saying is they have a shot. They could make the playoffs. Will they? Probably not. They're probably going to finish in that 9th spot and be mediocre.
No, but I think they're going to finish below that.
You know as well as I do, we are not allowed to say. We have been threatened with legal action if we say why Murray won't blow this team up right now.
I'll say it right now. I don't care.
No, you can't say. Timeout. Hold on. Don't you? Sorry, folks. I have to put Jake in timeout because he was going to get us sued, and I am not letting my house go because Jake wanted to make a point. So, are you done? Okay, you stay in there. He's in the penalty box. He's not allowed out of the penalty box until he promises.
I won't say it.
Okay, we can't say it. Everybody knows what we're talking about.
I'm going to lead people down a path where they can put 1 and 1 together and make sure it equals 2.
Jake wrote an article at one point and got a big caca. Go back and look for it. I think you can still find it on the internet somewhere. Can you?
If you know how to use the internet and you know what the Wayback Machine is, Google my name and the owner's name, the majority shareholder's name.
So,
but
anyway, so that's the reason I think Murray steps in and is preventing this. Look what he did with the Toronto. I mean, they wanted to trade Sidorov to Toronto. I don't know who they were going to get back from Toronto.
From the understanding that I've heard from insiders and the readings I've done from people who knew the situation, it was a better return than what they got from Vancouver.
And Murray stepped in and said, no, you're not allowed to trade. You're not allowed to make any trades right now with Toronto, period, end of story.
Why? Because of a soured business relationship.
Because he hates the GM.
Brad Treliving. Yeah, he hates him.
Right? It's asinine.
And we've talked about this with the Aquilinis before, so it's not like we're just singling out the Calgary Sports and Entertainment company corporation. I was like, there's another C and I can't think of it. CSEC. Owners, I know you're billionaires and you think you know what's best. Listen to your hockey operations. Did you hear also on organizations, people in the organizations telling coaches and GMs what to do? Did you hear Bruce Boudreau's comments this weekend on the NHL Network? That there was someone in the organization, in the Canucks organization, that wanted Hughes to play center.
Quoting the stanchion, why aren't? I think that was Finn. That sounds like a lot like Finn. Finn is a mascot, people. I can't see it. Like, but he was dead serious. Like if you saw the clip,
this wasn't Bruce
laughing.
Joking around. This was Bruce being like, you want to know how dysfunctional that organization is at times? Don't get me wrong, very happy for them. And am I kind of upset that they're having this success without me? And maybe that's subconscious. Maybe it's not even a realized thing from him. I don't blame him.
Whew.
But Hughes at
playing center.
It's asinine.
When I first heard it, I saw it on the stanchion, and I was like, Wyatt Arndt had posted it, and I was like, I don't have time to listen to this right now. And then I went back later and I listened, and I was like, what? No. And then I had to listen to it again and really watch Boudreau, and I was like,
because he's known to make jokes.
Joking.
I was say he's very known to make jokes and be just chatty and lighthearted. That was just him being like, no, this is a story I'm telling.
Yeah.
Going back to the Calgary Flames, by the way, if you sort by point percentage, because it's the better way to do standings, and we can argue about whether you believe that to be true or not. The math doesn't lie. The Edmonton Oilers would be in your first wildcard spot, followed by the Nashville Predators. Then it would be the Kraken, St. Louis, Coyotes, Flames. So they'd have to jump 4 teams to get into
like
the
I say, most likely they're going to finish in 9th.
I think they're going to finish in the bottom 4 of the Pacific, because I think the Minnesota Wild are a better team. They've just had some really shitty goaltending, but
it won't happen. Like, will they get rid of Tanev? Will they get rid of Lindholm?
Probably, but only because they're if they're not trying to re-sign them, and only if they've said no, I'll not come back. Yes. Those are the only reasons to trade them.
Trade me,
and it'll be for a young prospect or a star that's a talent that has contract, things like that.
And as long as it doesn't show or there's a perception in Calgary that they're tanking, because that doesn't sell tickets.
Doesn't sell other things too, like this new arena we're getting.
Well, the new arena is going to come no matter what. Right?
There's still, you say that there still could be a fallout in negotiation somewhere along the road.
For sure. I mean, anything's possible, right? But can we talk some CFL?
First, before we do that, let's wrap up the NHL talk.
This week's games.
No, well, your 9-3-1 guess is looking positive. We have 5 games left. Brain doing math. 3 and 2. That's 5. 5 games left in this month, and that means we need to go 3 and 2 in these last 5 games to hit that record of 9-3.
Can I change my 9-3-1 now?
No,
because I think we'll go like I don't know, 12-1-1. I don't know.
Well, this week we have the Coyotes on Thursday. We already played today, so it looks like a really short or a really nothing burger week.
But we had 3 games.
We had 3 games because we played today, travel day tomorrow, day off for the team Wednesday. Thursday they'll be back. Actually, I think it's a practice day on Wednesday and a day off, like travel day off tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Probably travel today, actually, thinking about it, and then
because these next games are all at home.
Yeah.
We're home now until the All-Star break, are we not?
I think even after the All-Star break, I think there's one game more at home. But then we face Toronto in the early game of Hockey Night in Canada because, of course, we do. Because why would we schedule Toronto to ever play a late game? Getting the Winnipeg Blue. Yeah, no, you're right. Let's schedule a game on a non-holiday at 10 a.m. for Vancouver, but let's make sure Toronto always gets prime time in Vancouver or prime time in Toronto.
It's insane. Insanity. But having said that,
it's going to be too late for the Toronto folk.
I have never looked more forward to a hockey game that Toronto's playing in than this one.
It'll be fun.
I'm jealous. One of my brothers, not my oldest brother, but your Uncle Mike, he's going to the game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, he's got tickets for Christmas. He got tickets to the game. So it's going to be nuts in there.
Oh, it'll be a playoff atmosphere game.
It's going to be loud. If I'm Vancouver, every Canuck fan gets a white towel. I would.
Turn into something. So a big thing to remember, or big thing to talk about also is Pride Night is Thursday against the Coyotes.
Coyote night, yes.
So we'll see which players are doing the tape. If they're doing special jerseys, we'll see what that looks like.
Or more. I heard rumors of more.
They're allowed to do the events. The events are 100% allowed. The equipment is still questionable because the NHL technically hasn't changed the rule, but they haven't enforced it at all.
They've basically said you're not allowed a Pride jersey.
That would be cool. Yeah, that would be really cool, actually. For those listening, the old man covered his head and then visored motion. So that would be really cool, actually, if they did something like that.
I would think there might be a goalie that might choose to do something really cool.
Oh, that'd be really awesome.
Yeah. Blah, 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 blah. Who knows?
See.
We'll see.
And it could be 100% true of what we're hearing, and then the league or the team is like, that's going to get us in some trouble.
Don't push it.
This is how far we can push it.
Yeah.
So
what are you picking on these two? I'll let you pick first for a change. I'm
going to go, and this might shock people because I'm usually the very conservative one. I'm going to go 1-0-1. I'm going to say 1-0-1.
Oh, 1-0-1. I was like, huh? I thought you said 1-1-1, and I was like, huh?
1-0-1.
You think we're going to win and then lose one in overtime?
Yes. We're going to lose to the Coyotes in overtime, and we're going to blast the doors off of Toronto.
I blame his mother, folks.
Nope. There's logic behind this. So
I know it's a end of a long road trip.
No. That, you know what? The road trip plays into it, but has nothing to do. They'll have a day off tomorrow. I looked it up. Sorry, while we were on air here. They have a day off tomorrow. They practice on Thursday. And then for the first time in 3 weeks, they have a game that's late in the day. That's going to be a huge change for them again.
True.
Don't get me wrong. These early games, like the early games, they haven't looked good. But the games that are at normal time for back east games on the weekdays, they've looked great in. So they have a late game against Arizona. Then they have the early game that they've all been kind of used to, their internal clock on Saturday.
So they play Thursday, Saturday, so they're off Friday.
Yeah. So
I'm going to go out on the limb.
Well, I'm shocked personally. I think we all know what's coming here.
2-0. Then we're going to win them both. We're going to go 2-0-1 in this week.
2-0-1. That'd be a great week, to be honest. Like if you go, even if you went 1-1 and like even if you end up losing to Toronto and winning, like however that works out, if you go 1-1-1 in a week with the lead you have in the Pacific Division,
we're strong. I mean, we've put enough distance between us and the wild cards that I mean, you look at Edmonton. Edmonton's at 100. They've won 10 games straight. 10 games straight. And
they're
they've
15
only
points
gained
behind.
4 points on us.
Yeah, I was gonna say they're 15 points behind us. We've played the same amount of games as the Vegas Golden Noodles, and we're 7 points up on them.
Yeah. Like, so, yeah. And that will put us at, for the streak would be 8-1-1.
Hey, look, I said you made a very bold prediction when you made that prediction. Maybe we need to make you make a prediction at the beginning of every month and be overly optimistic about it. But we have been going for a little bit longer than I thought, so let's rush. Don't say rush, but touch on these CFL things, because you'll have more information on this than I do.
I can't say how many times the CFL can shoot themselves in the nuts. They've stopped shooting themselves in the foots, and they've gone to like shooting the penises off. They've shot their own penis, Jake.
All right.
So this new rule they are talking about bringing in, is a team would have the option after a touchdown to take the ball on their own 40.
I don't like the 40. I think the 40 is far too forward. I'm taking the ball on the 40 every single time.
Hey, of course you are.
If you put that on the 20, now it's a discussion.
Exactly. Even the 25, it's a discussion. If you're putting that ball on the 40, you talk to any kick returner, and we should get our friend Arlan Bruce III and bring him on to talk about this, because I can guarantee you his goal was, besides getting his goal was to get a touchdown every time he returned the ball when he was a returner.
Every time you touch the ball, as a receiver, as a returner.
If you talk to a special teams coach, they want the ball at the 40.
If you talk to any coach, give me the ball on the 40.
I remember Ellison going to a football 101 years ago in Calgary here. Her and her sister went, and they were talking to the special teams coach, and the special teams coach said, if we can get the ball on the 40, there's a 75% higher chance we'll score a touchdown from a kickoff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's like, come on. It's just so, even if it's one of those trial lead balloon ones where it's like, let's just throw this out there to see the reaction, just makes you look stupid.
Does it though?
Yes.
Why? It's January 15th. We're going into NFL playoffs. We're in NFL playoffs, and every single sports page or sports coverage place that covers any part of football is talking about the CFL January 15th.
Yeah, I don't know. It's Bush League.
This
is arena football bullshit. That's what that is. Don't even talk about it. It's like freaking 3-down Bo talking about, or 4-down Bo talking about going to the CFL, going to 4 downs. Screw that. Screw this. Screw them all.
Now, what if they change the kickoffs to be more like what the XFL did? Do you remember the XFL? They had players, rather than having the players line up behind the kicker, they lined the kicking team up on I think it was the 35, and the receiving team on the 25 or the 30, 5 yards apart. They were not allowed to move until the receiver caught the ball. Yeah. The only 2 people allowed to move, or 3 people, because you're allowed to have 2 returners back. You have, that way you're getting the ball in more likely than not, you're getting the ball at the 30, because it's not often that you're going to be able to break a block that quickly. But you're stopping injuries. You're not having people run 50, 60 yards.
And really, what's one of the most exciting plays in football?
A punt return?
Yes.
To me, a punt return is way more exciting than a kick return.
And on cue, my buddy shows up. And what is he going to say?
Great evening, Mr. and Mr. Hughes. Bro, if our offense started on the 40-yard line let's try that again. If our offense started on the 40-yard line, we should put up 35 plus every game or more.
Yes. It's simple.
But is that what the CFL is going for?
It takes away the game. It literally takes away from the game. Arlan, we're going to chat. I know you called me today. I'm going to call you. I want you to come on. I want you to talk about this in depth, maybe next week. But we'll chat, dude. So yeah, it's dumb in my opinion, and let's carry that on to next
Yeah.
week.
Well, and we might get some more insight on what's coming out of it, out of the meetings, because
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure they're still
exactly.
going on. I haven't been paying that close attention. Hockey's taken up my entire sports. However, Keon Hatcher has resigned for 3 years. He was set
Yeah,
to become a free agent at the end of January here. So 3 years. We don't in the CFL. You don't get contract information. It's all hush hush, quiet for some reason. I don't understand why. I hate it. I
that's
dislike it.
weird.
It's dumb. But I mean, he's played since 2021 with the Lions, 165 passes, 2,483 yards. I believe I was reading like 13 or 14 touchdowns out of that. 13 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So and was a very favorite target of Vernon Adams this past year. So
great sign. Great sign.
Yep.
It worries me though, and I'm going to be honest here.
Why?
This is the one I've been kind of waiting for with bated breath. What jersey did I get?
Oh, you of course got
Mr. Lucky Whitehead. My girlfriend went and got me brand new one of the gray smoked or white smoked jerseys, and she got me Lucky Whitehead, who's one of my favorite players, currently on the team. And I think with signing Keon, I don't know if we're going to sign Lucky. I think he might end up in green and white.
Still, I mean,
he still said he'd sign my jersey.
Yeah, that's all that matters.
Right?
That's all that matters. And it's not like it. I was gonna say he's still a great receiver, and it has been a great receiver for the Lions. So it's not
exactly.
But no, I think we'll see a bunch. There's been a lot of restructuring of deals, and something I haven't really paid attention to in the CFL before. But a lot of restructuring of deals to make these lump sum payments that the players supposed to get as signing bonuses or like re-up bonuses disappear or manage the books. It's very confusing. There's a lot of technical knowledge behind it, and I'd love to have an expert on. And I want to talk about it with Arlen when he comes on. But I also know that sometimes the players don't even understand why the reasoning behind it.
Well, and I'm sure it's changed a whole lot since Arlen has played as well.
Constantly changing. Plus, you have a canceled season, so your cap that you thought would be going up annually at a 2% is now flattened, and who knows. But I'd love to find someone who does know and have them on the show to discuss that type of stuff. Because
getting an agent, we'll find an agent and bring them on and talk about it if they're allowed. I don't know. Maybe it's hush hush. We'll check into it. I'll talk to talk to Rod and see if he can put me on touch with somebody.
Yeah,
man. Now,
yes,
just before we go, I want to talk about what you freaking been dipping your nose into this week.
Dipping my toes, not my nose. Yeah, so we went to.
Well, let's go back and let's talk about the fact that we talked about doing this segment once a month called.
I don't remember what we were originally going to call it, but I decided today that this is what we're going to call it. And we're sticking
what's the turnbuckle?
Okay, I was like, literally, I was going through. I was like, I think this is what we're going to call it.
Because remember, I originally came up with Wrestling Corner, and you said no. Let's call it the turnbuckle
because it's the Wrestling Corner.
Yeah.
So as you guys might know, we are very avid, very large, diehard wrestling fans.
Yeah, man.
By wrestling, we do mean professional wrestling, WWE, AEW, independent wrestling.
Yes, all of it.
So we talked about doing a monthly, probably 15 minutes at the end of a show, talking about the kind of the news, the pay-per-views, the storylines, things that we wanted to talk about, any news that came out of it. But also, we went to Dungeon Wrestling here in Calgary, which is put on by the Hart family. We went to their WrestleWeen 3 show.
Back in October,
which was Halloween weekend, or just before Halloween weekend. And we sat down and we knew very little about what was going on storyline-wise, and we knew very little about what was happening, other than there's going to be some great matches. Luckily, we ended up sitting next to a very great gentleman who had been to all of the shows.
What a cool guy that guy was.
I was say, do you want to explain his story? I don't know what.
Yeah, I'll explain his story just because I can't remember his name.
I can't remember his name either.
This gentleman sat down. We sat down beside this gentleman who was in a wheelchair, and real nice guy. We probably Jake's age-ish, somewhere around there.
I'm terrible at judging ages.
But we started yakking away, and I forget how the conversation led to it, but I said, "So what happened? You lost your leg. What happened?" And he goes, "Oh, I tried to commit suicide and dove off a bridge and landed on cement, and this is the result." And I was taken aback. I was like, "Wow!" But I'm telling you, this kid, young adult, wasn't a kid. This guy was so effing positive about life. Talk about turning himself around, and found out that he did have friends and that he was loved, and he had loves. And one of his big loves, I'm going to get emotional. One of his big loves was wrestling. Jake and I like wrestling. We enjoy wrestling. This kid loved wrestling.
Yeah.
It was really a cool moment because Jake and I knew one of the guys involved with it taking pictures. He lives out here in Airdrie. His name's Rob Jameson. So I grabbed him, and he actually asked me, do I want to go and meet Bret Hart? Because Bret Hart was there. And I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Of course I do.
Of course.
And unfortunately, Bret had to leave, so we didn't get to meet him. And I said, but you know what's more important? See this guy sitting behind me? Kind of briefly told him the story. It's more important that he would meet Bret.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, Bret had to leave. But before he left, he signed there's a whole pack of DVDs of Bret's career, or highlights of Bret's career, and he signed it to the guy. You should have seen the expression on that kid's face. It was just special. Way offline, but that's wrestling.
Well,
that's wrestling to us.
No, I was gonna say it's a very important piece to this, because we sat down next to him, and he had been to every single Dungeon Wrestling show since they had started.
Yeah.
And as the wrestlers were coming out, or they announced what match it was, he basically explained to us the storylines and what was going on and everything like that. And that just kind of stuck with me, sitting in my brain. And the way I am, and the because everything can be content, everything can be something that I can do.
Go figure.
I decided on a whim to reach out to Dungeon Wrestling and say, I have an idea, and it was because I went to WrestleWeen 3 and had no clue what was going on, and luckily I was able to sit to someone who did. You guys should be putting out videos very similar to what AEW did before their first ever show, and what they have done very, up until recently, for every pay-per-view that they put on. And they did just little videos, little 5-10 minute videos of explaining why this match is important, building up the storylines. You can air those even if it's just the audio through the speaker system. You can have a TV set up somewhere so you can watch the video if you really want to. But then it gets people thinking about the storylines. It gets people to emotionally attach to it.
Yes.
And when you air the matches, because they do cut up a lot of their matches and put them on YouTube, you can have that as a little stinger intro to the match to explain what's going on, and then have the match.
Yes.
So, again, on a whim, just reached out and said, hey, this is something I'd love to do. What do you think? And I got a reply saying, yeah, I'd love to chat, from the Hart, who was running the show, Dallas. And he was like, yeah, let's chat.
Now, who is Dallas in the Hart family? I was trying to explain that to Ellison, and I wasn't really sure.
That is a good question, because I don't know, because that is a very large family.
Don't worry about it. Finish the story, because we're running late here.
So, yeah, I reached out to him and said, hey, this is what I want to do. He was all aboard. He said, 100%, you have basically read our minds. We want to do something like this anyways. And I said, cool. Let me do something. They had just announced that it will be, I'm going to pull it up because I can't remember the guy's name and I feel terrible, but it's Chris Masters. Oh my goodness, I'm hitting the wrong button. Can you pull it up?
Masters in Macklin, isn't it?
I believe Macklin is his name, but I don't remember. Is going to be the main event for their next event, for their next next event called Unfinished Business 2, which is Friday, March 29th. Steve Macklin versus Chris Masters for the Stu Hart Championship live at the Victorian Pavilion in Calgary. So if you are in the area, please do come around. And if you see a video floating around that building up that match, I will be working with Dungeon Wrestling to produce that. I'm actually meeting up with Dallas tomorrow That's why I keep looking at my phone trying to see where I'm meeting him tomorrow, right after work, and I'm going to literally get to work and start editing, putting pieces together. And eventually, I'd love to have Dallas on or someone from Dungeon Wrestling on to discuss the upcoming show, maybe even the week before Unfinished Business.
2 weeks before. It's
2 weeks before.
2 weeks
Okay.
before, so we could sell some tickets.
Yeah, sell some tickets. Maybe even sprout into a little bit more of independent wrestling coverage from our point of view, and start building that relationship, because it's something that we love and something that's criminally underrated for a what is it, like $30 for a ticket,
Front row seat.
and it is so much fun. Even if you're not a wrestling fan, like I know there's a group to our left that got front row seats, and two of them had no clue about wrestling because of the way they were reacting to things.
Yes.
But they were having a blast. It's a fun time. Even if you don't like wrestling, you got nothing to do on Friday, March 29th for a couple hours, come down to the Victorian Pavilion. It's where the original Stampede Wrestling used to air. It is not a great
feel in that place, man. It's got a special feel.
I was gonna say it's not like a very fancy place, but it is what wrestling is.
It's a dungeon, dude.
It's great. It feels like that's where wrestling should be taking place.
Yes, I love it. It's awesome. Awesome. So, start looking forward to it. Or whether you look forward to it or not is what we're going to be doing. Probably once a month, if not, maybe more. Depends what's happening. Where we talk wrestling for 10, 15 minutes every single show.
I was going to say, and it's big reason I want to put at the end of the show is because if you're not a wrestling fan, that's okay.
That's okay. You can leave.
You can leave. Well, not even just you can leave, but if maybe you like our takes on it, maybe we can talk you into checking out a show.
Yeah, a lot of people watched wrestling back in the day. As my buddy Rod Peterson, who I haven't mentioned on these shows lately.
What are you talking? You just mentioned him earlier this show, so you had to get a double. You had to get a double Rod in
because I didn't mention him in the last couple of weeks.
That's fair.
He's when he found out I was a wrestling fan, he goes, "Yeah, I was a wrestling fan too." And then I discovered females. And I was like, "How? You jerk!" But there's a lot of people like that who watched wrestling when they were younger and kind of drifted away. Just happened, Jake, and I didn't.
I was gonna say, and I don't blame them, because there was a many years there where wrestling was hard. We are diehard, and I say diehard. We are consistent wrestling fans, and we found it hard to watch wrestling for stretches there. So
exactly. Right now, 2024 and 2023, 2024 is the best time to be a wrestling fan. I'm telling you, I even started watching WWE again, which really tells you something. AEW,
I haven't gone that far.
AEW, New Japan,
Ring of Honor,
locals. There's so many.
TNA is now back. Like Impact Wrestling is now back to TNA, and they had a huge show. Like people might not like Dolph Ziggler. Nick Nemeth is now in TNA and at New Japan.
Yes, you had somebody from AEW go on New Japan, hold up his AEW contract and ripped it up. Like,
now I've seen pictures. Sorry, I want to talk about that. I've seen pictures of that. Either that's a very great fake copy, or that was his legitimate contract he ripped up.
Who knew? They worked. All I can say is AEW and New Japan work together. So I'm just saying. Anyways, that's how big of fans we are. We could go on. We used to do a full hour of wrestling talk way back when.
Yep.
Wrestling.
That would have been the first iteration of this podcast would have been
wrestling. That was years ago.
But
till next week.
I was gonna say, I feel like we've kept you guys here long enough.
Yeah.
My brain just did a short circuit there because I couldn't think of what the saying was.
Till next week.
No, after.
In between time. And in the meantime. And in between time. Good wrestling.
But ladies and gentlemen, please do, if you do like wrestling, if you do like the Canucks, CFL, BC Lions, any of those topics, please reach out. Follow us on the social media. Facebook. Where else can they follow us? Twitter or X or whatever you do want to call it. because we are the home of the irrational fans. We are number one, just like the Vancouver Canucks. We are number one. We are your number one podcast for all the fan interaction. We're not experts. We don't know everything in behind the scenes. I want to make that perfectly clear. We don't know everything behind the scenes. But what we do know is how irrational fans work, how irrational fans think, and we're going to give you our opinions because we don't give a shit if you like it or not. And it might get you. Whoa. I don't give a shit if you like my opinions or not.
No, I was. You know what? You know what I was called this week?
An asshole?
Well, I get called that every day.
Opinionated?
No, I was told I was a deranged, irrational fan.
Well, that's checks out.
Okay. Say goodbye.
But follow us on all these social media platforms. We will see you guys here next week to start season 2. Do we call it season 2? I think we're going to start calling it season 2. All right. Until then, you beautiful people, have a good night. Mwah, and goodbye. Peace.